Okay, YouTube, this is fsfazekas coming to you today with a Talon Grip installation on the Smith Wesson SD40VE. We're going to be installing a Talon Grip. They're available at www.talongungrips.com. Okay, I wanted to let you know that the grips come in two textures. The one that we're going to be applying to the SD40VE is a granulate texture. It's gritty like sandpaper. Provides a really good grip once you have it on the firearm. They also come in a rubberized texture. This is a grip for an LC380 that I'll be picking up next week. And this type of grip, the texture is a little more appropriate for a firearm that you might carry concealed. What I found in my experience is that the granulate texture, provides an excellent grip, but when you go to draw your firearm from your concealment, it tends to grab clothing and other things on the way out. So for concealed carry, you'd want to get the rubber texture. But for a range gun, which the SD40VE is going to be for me, the granular texture is quite fine. As far as applying the grip, some of the tools you might have, I have a pair of scissors in case I need to trim anything on the grip. Talon sends you these isopropyl alcohol prep pads. I think they sent me 3 because I bought 2 grips. I'm not going to use those. I have instead some isopropyl alcohol that I bought from some store somewhere. I'm going to use a microfiber cloth to clean the area where the grip is applied. And then the other thing they tell you to do, especially for the rubber grip, but also for the granulate grips, is to heat it at the end of the process. So I have a heat source here. Hopefully my wife doesn't notice I run off with her blow dryer. Okay, so let's see about getting started with this installation. First thing you want to do, by the instructions that Talon sends you, is to field strip the firearm that you're going to apply it to. So in this case, we're just going to drop the magazine, nothing in there. I will lock back the slide. I don't know. I'm hoping that you get a camera angle you can see in that the chamber is empty. There's nothing in there. And then as a matter of fact, we'll go ahead and remove the slide and just work with the frame. So this has the SD40VE has the same kind of release or field stripping mechanism that Glocks have. This isn't too easy for me to hold back here with my hands the way they are, but you just pull it back slightly, bring these 2 levers down on either side, and let the slide right off. Sometimes you do need to pull the trigger to get that to happen, but because I had already done that, we don't need to. Just a note, this particular firearm I have not even fired yet. So when we get to the spring and I can get back to our rod and gun club, we'll do a video of the first few rounds through it. You can see it's perfectly clean. We'll just set the slide aside for the moment. Okay, now to begin the installation, what we're going to do is we're going to test fit the grip. You can see that there's a cutout here for the Smith Wesson logo. This kind of V-shaped groove goes around this area near the magazine release. When you actually go to apply it, one of the things you want to make sure is that the edge of the Talon grip is parallel to the edge of your magazine well. Okay, so we're just kind of looking. We're going to see about wrapping this around here. I'm sensing that it's just a little bit long, so I have my pair of scissors here in case I want to trim that. You really don't want overlap, so you really don't want to end up in a situation where you've got overlap, especially on the granular textures, because they're a lot stiffer. The rubber is a little more forgiving in that case. Also, thinking about this being left-handed, if I were going to wrap and have any overlap, I'd rather have it wrap with the side panel overlapping than this way with the front of the grip overlapping. Okay, but we'll take a look at that, and once we start to apply the grip, we do have some option to adjust the fit, and then at the last bit trim this if it's necessary. Okay, So before we go ahead and apply the grip, we want to clean the area that we're going to apply it. Like I said, Talon gives you these prep pads. I'm not going to use that. There's nothing wrong with them. I have used their stuff in the past, but I have some other supplies, so I'm going to work with that. So I'm just going to apply some isopropyl alcohol to my microfiber cloth. And we'll pick up the frame. Now the tricky part is to remember that once you've cleaned it, don't grip where you've cleaned again. Okay, so I'm just going to apply the rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol all over this area. Okay. Now, like I said, this particular firearm I haven't even fired. I mean, I've handled it a bit, but I have never fired it, so there shouldn't be any, there wouldn't be any powder residue or anything like that on the grip. But we're getting a little grime off of it. That's probably just from my hands and having handled it. And then I'll use a separate area of the microfiber cloth to kind of dry it. We do want to make sure that it's dry, and again, we kind of want to try to avoid touching the area we've cleaned. Now, I thought there we go. Thought I got my hands on it back here, so we'll just clean that area again. Okay, and we're careful not to touch this area. Okay, so that looks pretty clean. I suppose if you're really concerned about it, you could get out your heat source, your blow dryer, your heat gun, whatever, and make sure that it's dry. I'm pretty certain I don't see any, wetness there. And just to make sure, we'll dry it one more time. Okay. Alright, and then let's go ahead and start the application. So, I'm going to start wrapping it from this side, like that. So I'm going to go ahead and start peeling off the backing. It's kind of funny, I rehearsed most of these steps before I started the video, but I did not make any attempt to see if I would be able to get the backing off easily. And of course I have no fingernails to work with here. Okay, here we go. So just trying to find a corner and start peeling it. What I'm going to try and do is peel back. Okay, not quite that much, but just enough to get it started and aligned. Okay. Well, you know what? I think we want the Smith Wesson logo to be visible, so we'll do that. And what I'm really looking at the moment is, do I have the Smith & Wesson logo centered in the circle, and is this line, the edge of the grip, parallel to the edge of the mag well? And it looks like it is pretty well. So I'm going to start with that, and we'll get these things, okay, we'll get these pushed down real well. And this is part of the reason why you heat it afterward. Okay, and I'll take the next panel, and probably that's the best way to approach this, is to try and apply it, by the panel. So do the left grip side first, okay, and then work on the back. And for the back, I'm going to press in the center first and then push these guys down. We'll continue unwrapping. And you see now I've already done some things here that I shouldn't have. And then the test is really, does it meet here? And yeah, it looks like it's a little off. That's not, I'm assuming that's not the fault of the grip. That's my issue. Okay, and keep wrapping this forward. Okay, try and squeeze out any air. Okay, we're coming around, and this is looking pretty good. I'm I'm going, you know, like a 1/16 of an inch I want to take off this. So I'm very carefully and I'm just doing this by guess. You know, when you go to apply yours, shoot. When you go to apply yours, you'll have to figure out, you know, where to cut. Okay. Let's see if that's... not quite. That's what I was afraid of though, because now to trim a small amount off of this, you gotta have some really good scissors. And to be honest, I'd rather have a gap than I'd rather have a gap than overlap. These scissors are not quite sharp enough to do this. Let's see if I can get in the right spot. That's very close. I'm going to take a little bit more off of it. And this is the part you just can't prepare for off video, off camera. Okay, so I hope you're still with me. I probably should have gotten a smaller pair of scissors, but I'm getting there. Okay, one more snip. Ooh, one more snip. Okay, alright, let's see how we did. Okay, well, looks like I trimmed a little bit too much off of it, but honestly that's okay. I would rather have a small gap like we have here than to have overlap and have the thing, you know, have the edge catch and have it peel off. Okay, so we're looking at our handiwork here. You know, it does seem like there was a little bit of misalignment on this side. You can see how it's a little off center here. And then once you get it on, just, you know, do your grip. Go ahead and see how that feels. Looks pretty good on this side. Okay, and then get this out of the way. Close these guys up. Hey YouTube, welcome back. I apologize, we've had some technical difficulties with the camera here. So let me pick up where I left off. Basically, I had just gotten the grip completely attached. As I mentioned from my trimming job, I went a little overzealous there and trimmed a little bit away, but as I mentioned, I'd rather have a small gap here than have overlap that could get you know, lifted and start peel the grip, that would start to peel the grip back. So I think this is a better solution. You know, if you're not doing this on the fly, you can probably take a little time and make this seam meet much more closely and have little to no gap there. But this is fine for me. So now, the last thing that Talon suggests is to go ahead and heat these grips to help them adhere. The rubber texture grip shrinks down noticeably to form fit the frame of the firearm when you heat it. The granular texture or granulate texture, not as much. It's a stiffer material, but we'll go ahead and do that. And I won't bore you with this. We'll fast forward through this bit, but here we go. Okay, and we got it. Now it's sort of warm. But when you have it warm, you kind of start pressing it down. And I would suggest you grip the firearm in the manner that you normally would. Let it get fitted there. And we can see that there's, well, I don't know if you can see it, but it is starting to snug down. So we'll continue this. Just kind of work the areas that have been heated so they press down there and that they're firmly attached. You can see like there's some gap here, so we heat that up. And I don't think it takes a lot of heat or anything. I'm sure that if you have an actual heat gun, you can probably do this a lot quicker. However, you're going to have a lot higher heat output and you want to be careful of that. Just going to try and snug this down here. I notice there's a little corner that overlaps this rounded groove here, so I'm just going to try and push things down in there. Okay, It's warm. This is definitely not hot by any means. The room I'm in is actually kind of cold, so probably having trouble with getting it heated up sufficiently. Continue to work on that, and I think it's kind of hard to see. I can see it here. There's definitely a ridge here where it's now adhering to the grip. Okay. And get it good up here. Okay, yeah. I like what I'm seeing so far. And as a matter of fact, I might even be able to pull this around a little bit. You know, kind of work it like that to close up that gap somewhat. Okay. And then I'm going to do some more heat right along here just to make sure that's it applied. You're not really so much trying to heat the granule, you're trying to heat the adhesive on the other side of it, between it and the frame. Okay, yeah, see? I hope you can see that on the camera, but I made a big improvement in closing that up. Hopefully that'll stay. I'm going to call that good for now. It's not a long process. You don't have to spend, you know, a half an hour heating this stuff up and snugging it down or anything like that. That looks pretty good. Let me get the blow dryer out of the way, and we will reassemble the firearm. Okay. SD40, just slide it back on. Okay. Magazine in there, and there you have it. That is the Smith Wesson SD40VE with a Talon granular grip applied. Yeah, that'll do. That'll be a nice one. Okay. Well, thanks for looking in, YouTube. I appreciate your time. Please feel free to like, favorite the video, or subscribe to the channel. We'll be bringing you more videos, firearm-related videos as we can. Thanks for looking in on me.